episode of the Untold Stories about Courage and Valor. This is your today's host, Harleen Kaur. Today I would like to welcome Lieutenant General Mohinder Puri sir, who headed the 8th Mountain Division and was responsible for spearheading the Army's offensive in the Kargil sector. In the challenging and hostile environment of high-altitude terrain, Sir's work is a moving tale of fortitude, valor and exemplary leadership. Sir, I would like to welcome you once again, and it's an absolute honor to share screen with you. So as we all know that one needs to be fully dedicated while serving the nation. So what was the force behind joining the army?
I'm from an army background. My father was in the army. My elder brother, who was 7 years my senior, was in the army. So literally I was born into an army family. And as I grew up, the influence was there, domestic influence was there, and I took to the army in a very big way. My brother joined the National Defence Academy way back in the late 50s. And from that time, one was motivated to join the army. So that's how I joined the army.
So what led to the Kargil War?
So the Kargil War, you see, I'll have to take you a bit back into history. In 1984, the Siachen Glacier, which was being, which the Pakistanis were trying to occupy, we preempted them and we occupied the Siachen Glacier. The 71 war had preceded that, and the breakup of Pakistan into East and West Pakistan and the formation of a new country, Bangladesh. And Pakistan had never reconciled to this. In 84, the Siachen operation, we preempted them in this, and later on, to avenge this, General Zia al-Haq, who was the president at that time, started the proxy war. And by which he meant that, you see, in conventional war, it's not possible to beat India. So the next best option was to, put 1,000 cuts and make India really suffer by instigating some insurgency. They tried in Punjab, but we somehow retrieved the situation in Punjab. Then they tried it in J&K, which had at that time which has a Muslim majority, as you know, in the valley. And they were successful in instigating the youth and the population in, asking for Azadi. The Indian Army moved into the valley and we again restored the situation. When we restored the situation, Pakistan thought again their plan has failed. And they wanted to internationalize the J&K problem, and therefore they went into Kargil. Now Kargil is by tradition, since independence, the Kargil, all the posts, the winter posts over there were vacated by both sides. But this year, in 1999, in April 99, they went and occupied this during the thick of the winters. And we couldn't sort of make out whether the intrusion has taken place. But over a stretch of about 130 kilometers, they had occupied and intruded into our area. So this is how we had to respond to this, because they had violated the line of control and they had occupied territory inside India. So we had to retrieve this and restore the sanctity of the line of control. So this really led to the Kargil War.
So can you please share a few incidents about that Kargil War operation or about 8th Mountain Division?
8th Mountain Division, when I took over, was in the valley. We were there for the counterinsurgency role, and after a year or so, in May 99, we came to know about what was happening in Kargil. So 8th Mountain Division on 1st of June was ordered to assume responsibility of the Kargil, of the Daras and Mashko sectors. And that's how we moved into the operations, and the area of responsibility was divided between 3 infantry divisions, which was the parent formation before the induction of 8th Mountain Division in this area. And the area was divided between 8 and 3 Mountain Divisions, where, like I mentioned, we were looking after Dras and Mashko sectors.
So what were the challenges on the battlefield? What were the positive and negative outcomes of it?
The challenges were many. Firstly, the terrain itself. I'll take the challenges first. The terrain was very inhospitable. We were operating in Srinagar. We were at a height of 6,000. But when we went into the operations, it was anything up to 14 to 18,000 feet. So at that altitude, it's very difficult to breathe. You take two steps and you have to stop for a breather. And just imagine a man going up the slope to attack the enemy with a weight of about 20 kgs on his back, and in this high altitude, extreme high altitude terrain where where the air is so rare and so difficult to breathe. So that's the biggest challenge. That is the challenge of the enemy was occupying the dominating heights, and we had to overcome these heights. The third challenge was the build-up of the division itself. We were in Sharifabad. To bring a division, or division is about 16,000 men with their vehicles and their complete military, their wall-like stores. So to build this entire force over a distance from Srinagar to Dras and Mashko was a tremendous logistic exercise. So these were some of the very acute challenges which we faced, and we overcame them. Now the leadership quality is basically what you have to make sure that people are adequately motivated, because on your word of command they are prepared to give their lives. So it has to be a very good understanding, a very good rapport between you and the men. They should feel confident that whoever is leading them, whether not me, their own company commanders, their own battalion commanders, their own brigade commanders, they have the confidence in them that when they lead them, they will ensure that the final outcome is victory.
So, would you like to share any specific incidents about the operation?
Well, there are many incidents which took place. It was a 50-day war, and incidents were there. The first thing which was really very striking was our first victory, our first success, which really paved the way for subsequent operations. And this was at a feature which called Tolaling. Now, Tolaling, if people at that time, it was a household name, and it had defied capture for about 3 weeks. So finally, when we captured Tolaling by 2 Rajputana rifles, led by an excellent commanding officer in Zomo, Colonel Ravindra, it was an operation which turned the tide in our favor. And from there onwards, we were able to successively capture various heights on various ridges. So this was the most important part of the entire Kargil war was our first victory, because that paved the way for our future successes, and it also raised the morale of the country as well as of the army in that particular sector. Then of course there were various acts of gallantry and bravery which was exhibited by the young officers and the men, which is unforgettable. I mean, you have the case of Captain Vikram Batra, who got the Paramveer Chakra. You have Yogendra Singh and Sanjay Kumar, both who won the Paramveer Chakras. So these are really etched into your memory, and you can't forget these incidents and the operation in which they sort of won these the highest awards in the country.
Sir, do you still get goosebumps whenever you recall it, or does that incident haunt you?
Yeah, I think one of the most memorable emotions which I carry from the entire war is the number of casualties which we suffered. It was a very high number of casualties, and for a short duration war, we suffered. We suffered very heavily, which I don't know whether it could have been avoided or not, but definitely it was something which still haunts me as the number of casualties which we suffered. But I look at life also when I see the wives of these martyrs or the mothers of these martyrs who lived their life with such dignity after their losses. that is something which I think the country must remember and must feel proud of the women who have lost their brother, who lost their husband, who lost their sons, how they face life after this tragic, irreparable loss. So I think,
It's highly commendable, I must
yeah,
say.
it's highly commendable, undoubtedly.
So, do you miss those army days?
Oh yes, if I have to live life again, I'll again join the army. Definitely.
हो मेरा रोम रोम तेरा कर्जदार है, हमारी ये आजादी तेरी कर्जदार है। शुक्रिया 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 हो शुक्रिया।